Well, good Wednesday evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bowling with the Fef. I hope my neighbors don't think I'm too weird by doing this outside edition. Thanks so much for joining us, whether you're live or on replay. If you are on replay, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the show. If you're live, the chat is open and available. Chat away. Make this interactive. We love the comments and questions, so keep them coming because there will be plenty to talk about tonight. I want to start out by throwing out a huge congratulations to Kevin McCune for taking this past weekend's PBA Players Championship out in New Jersey. He defeated Zach Tackett, EJ Tackett, and Anthony Simonson before finally taking down Jacob Buttriff in the final. He gets $100,000, a major, a berth in this weekend's Super Slam, and gives the McCune family its third generation PBA Tour titleist. It's not going to be an easy road to the Super Slam, though. You've got EJ Tackett, Anthony Simonson, Jacob Buttriff, Jason Belmonte, all joining Mr. McCune in that event. You can see the Super Slam Seeding Cup this Saturday, FS1, 1 p.m. Wisconsin time, and then the final stepladder, Big Fox, Sunday, also at 1 o'clock Central. Well, Jordan Richard has her third PWBA title after she took care of business at the PWBA Spokane Open. She defeated Erin McCarthy to take home the $20,000 first place prize on Saturday. USBC Queens is getting underway tomorrow after today's practice session and PWBA Hall of Fame ceremony, which is actually just getting started on Bowl TV and can be seen for free. TV finals of the Queens are scheduled for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, Wisconsin time. That's May 23rd on the CBS Sports Network. Well, here's another free live stream to keep the bowling content coming. And this one is this weekend right here on the channel. The MJBT WYBT Border Battle is coming to Eau Claire, Wisconsin, right in my neck of the woods, Saturday, May 20th. And Bowling with the Fef will have this first ever event on Saturday, starting right around 9 a.m. That's when the competition gets underway. You've got all-star teams from the Minnesota Junior Bowlers Tour and Wisconsin Youth Bowlers Tour squaring off at Wagner's in Eau Claire. You'll see the best on the boys and girls side compete in singles, doubles, and team matches to determine a winner. Watch for those live stream links coming soon. Right here on the channel, and thanks so much for to the organizers of that event, both on the MJBT and WYBT side, for allowing me to come in and stream that event. Got to say, I'm really looking forward to that one. Derek from Flush in the Pocket podcast. Hey, my friend, glad to see you on live, checking out the show tonight, and glad to see the success you're having on your show as well. Be sure and subscribe to his channel. He's got a lot of great content with some big names from the PBA Tour and days gone by. This show, this particular live stream, is brought to you by Chip Magnet Salsa. Chip Magnet is a family business right over in my neck of the woods, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, distributing salsa and a whole lot more to stores in more than 38 states and Canada. In and around Dubuque, Iowa, you can find Chip Magnet at Hy-Vee, and you can also go online. ChipMagnetSalsa.com is the place, and while you're there, they've got a great deal going on for Bowling with the Fef viewers. If you purchase $30 or more, they will give you 20% off your purchase, limit one per email address, if you put in the promo code BWTF 2023 at checkout. So a big thank you to the folks at Chip Magnet for supporting the channel and giving us that great deal with that promo code Chip Magnet. Raise your snack standards. Well, our guest tonight is about to be a second-time guest on Bowling with the Pfeff, and for good reason, too. He recently joined an elite group of bowling writers with his induction to the International Bowling Media Association's Luby Hall of Fame. Mark London of Dubuque, Iowa, received the call to the hall for a long career of excellence in bowling writing and broadcasting, and he is joining us live tonight. Apparently, he is on the phone. Oh, we're going that way, huh?
No, just EJ. All you have to do is just remember this: throw the ball, collect your money.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all you have to do. I'm serious. Oh, gotta go. Sorry.
Tell him I said hi. Don't hang up.
Pfeff says hi. He wants you. He wants you on a show soon. Okay.
Yeah.
Later, dude.
He'd
go get him. Stay motivated.
There you go. See, you got to be a second-time guest before he did.
See,
you got him there.
Wow. Yeah, but look what I had to do. It took me 40 years of work to get that honor. So he's already Hall of Fame eligible by the time he's well before 30. So
oh yeah,
there you go.
Can you believe this season he's having? I mean, it's
phenomenal. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. As soon as he got through the Open, I mean, he's made pretty much almost every show. Mm-hmm. It's just fun. Just a great. I mean, I met him at the Terrell Owens celebrity outing 6 years ago in Houston, and great guy. Couldn't have been nicer. Of course, I had a shirt with this on it, so I said, okay, he's got to say hi to the old guy.
You're on the same team.
I taught him something.
Yeah.
I said, bowl with both eyes open. That's good. You're allowed to do that, although he acts like he bowls with one eye closed. But he still is. He's having a heck of a year.
Oh yeah, for sure. Derek from Flush in the Pocket. What's up, Mark?
Derek, sorry about your Bruins, brother. Oh. At least you guys made the playoffs.
That's right. Yeah, and
the team that you accused me of stealing your colors, although it's my city colors, black and gold. See, and then we have the city. Then we have the city. Wow. I didn't go full K McCune and put my ballpark on there. I tried to, but Jeannie Franklin said, "Yeah, it's copyrighted." They're kind of weird about that. Of course, I had to have a Packer fan approve this PBA. See, this is
that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I got to pay props to my people too.
Yeah.
Read the bowling news.
Yeah, do it.
Read the bowling news of Texas. Bowlingnews.net.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And that's kind of, a good segue here, because that's a big part of
see how the pros do that.
You know this broadcasting thing. See, maybe you'll be on the show open pretty soon here.
Not doing that.
No. Just you wait. You had been eligible for this Hall of Fame induction for a while. Tell us about how and when and all that stuff. When you found out, did you get a phone call? Did you get an email? Was it a snail mail letter? How did that all go down?
It was snail mail. No, I got an email from Mark Miller about probably a week before he actually called. Said, "I'm trying to reach you. I have an old phone number for you. You won an award." I'm going, uh-oh. Really? That award? I said, no. I said, come on, it wouldn't be, no chance. So then he called, and I have, let's see, nothing like true live streaming here. I'm going to see if I can find it. Why not? Let's go full Letterman. All right. Back when he was good, back in the 80s,
Yeah.
Back when he was relevant. Let's see here. Where was that?
While you're doing that.
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, Derek,
here we go.
And let you know that you
did
before he did.
Well, that's not the right one. It was that call right there.
Okay.
Right there.
Still got
35 minutes worth. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I do interviews with this, so, it kind of helps. I was looking for Chip Magnet, too, for out of High V here. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah?
I didn't find it yet.
Uh-oh.
This is the Hy-Vee app. Well,
Restock,
I'm
restock.
I'm looking. I must be, gotta be. Keep
Yeah.
selling out. I can't find it. I hope to.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope you do too. Derek says you hit 50 before he did, so he is good.
Okay.
We're gonna play it that way, I guess.
Well, I'm a little bit. I'm 10 years plus. I can cash in the super raising category now. So, whoops, I did that already.
Yeah.
Oopsie.
All right. So you get this call, and
Yeah, he says, "Hey, Mark, I've been trying to reach you. You're it. You've won. Congratulations. Welcome to the IBMA Luby Hall of Fame. You're the 2023 winner." I said, "What?" I did. Fortunately, some things. I'm glad I had speakers. I just got home from
okay.
work. I was going to go head to a practice session in at Carpentersville, Jerry Morato's house,
Okay.
Liberty Lanes in Carpentersville, where I finished second many moons ago against some guy named Eugene. Okay, so I went back. So I was going to go to the practice session, but I was delayed because for a half hour from this phone call, and yeah, it was just it's still part of it still hasn't sunk in yet. I mean, if you go to the website bowlingmedia.org, go to awards and see who else has won this award before me, and it's wow, who's who? It's like Bob Johnson, Lenny Nicholson, Lyle Zykes. I'm thinking of all the people who were on or have been on the committee before. I think Joan Taylor was on there too. She's won the award, but I think I am the first quasi live streamer with all the live stream work to besides Lenny. But I've done more commentating. But it doesn't feel real. I still feel like I have to show my ID badge to get in the door. So I'll stick with that until they say it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And then you add in the part that is plain as day on the release, and that is that you beat out Randy Peterson to get there.
Yeah, he's probably not watching this either. So he's been on TV for a long time, longer than Bo Burton had before him. But I think it probably came down to, like with my first election, I hadn't done as much with the committee at that point. I think it's more geared to that, and bowling seems to be more loyal to the association and organization who you're trying to get in their Hall of Fame with. For example, Pete Weber, the only Hall of Fame he had not been in for all those years was the Greater St. Louis USBC.
Hmm.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I mean, he's okay, whatever. I asked Tracy about it, and she just kind of rolled her eyes and said, "You don't want to know." I said, "Okay, fine, all right. I won't ask anymore." So it's kind of like that. It'd be trying to get in other ones. I've been up for the Minnesota USBC, state USBC. The Illinois USBC is the most logical, but considering that Jason Queen just got in and he'd won the Masters almost 25 years ago, I'm probably not going to see that one either. Although I had more bowling and media stuff out of there. Texas might be a long shot, but that's just from writing and doing the commentary. Was only there for 4.5, 5 years, but there was a lot of material jam packed into that time span. All the bowlers' journals, articles, commentating on the Lucy with Dave Waswo and Craig Elliott. I think Craig Elliott will probably be there someday with all the commentating he's done. Flanagan should be in there. Should have been in there a while ago. Of course, Jeff Riggles. I hope he thinks it matters to him, but he's the gold standard for media and journalistic practices. I mean, he's gotten knocks because he's too good at what he does. Really, I mean, he's been at this a long time, working for the Capital Times and doing all the reporting. So he knows his media. He knows his stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And some people don't like that.
Boy, Derek's on fire here. Randy Peterson was beat by a lot of people, it seems. Well,
I'll tell you what, the first year I was in, Harry Neal, the late Harry Neal of San Antonio, was a longtime writer, a longtime contributor to the San Antonio Express. And um, it was me and him. And I think the day after that was announced, he passed.
oh, geez.
Yeah. So, I thought, oh, okay, well, whatever. All right. It's, if I win, great. But if not, it's, not going to feel totally uncomfortable, but he deserved it.
Yeah.
It was good. And I will congratulate his family. And he wrote some great material. I happened to read some of it a few years back. He deserved it. He deserved it. Good man. And then 2 years ago, I was up against Keith Hamilton, longtime Bowler's Journal owner. I think the last 15, 20 years he owned it before he sold it to USBC. And I saw that. I go, okay, well, that's 0 for 2. Sorry. But, going up against Randy, I'm thinking, I might be in line for the golden sombrero here if I'm not careful. Chris Berman's 0 for 4 thing. And I was, the funny thing was, I tried to turn in my ballot 3 different times. Finally, I got Mark Miller to email me back at the last minute. Hey, I want your ballot. I said, you have it, And he said, oh, well, thanks. There's been a few people who voted. So I thought, okay, great. At least I'm going to get 2 votes out of this, me and somebody else. Who knows?
Yeah.
Against Randy. But I was just floored. I was just stunned. I know what the final margin was. I'm not going to tell it. I'll tell it as soon as I tell what Flanagan got from the networks for that virtual almost 300 strike that was bowled 10 years ago. I'm not going to tell that one either. Sorry. I just got to draw the line.
Yeah.
No.
Sure.
I don't mind publicly saying that because it's true. I'm
Yeah.
Pre-digital. Sorry.
That's okay.
Some of us do things differently.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Jay Santos joining us live. Thanks for joining us, Jay. And
Thanks, Jay.
If this is Jerry Lundergaard, like Fargo.
No. I can jump into that. Having lived up there in the 80s, I could. Oh yeah, okay, more better. Oh yeah, yeah. But no.
So I've got a couple people who who I asked for some reaction. You mentioned Jeff, and I happened to.
Okay.
So he said that he can't say enough good things about you. He said he's been reading your stuff for eons. So much great historical info, especially on televised bowling. He says that you are a treasure for the industry and that he loves that you've been recognized for all that you've done, and he hopes you keep doing it for years more.
Okay, I will. Sure.
That was
that's very, very touching. Very nice of Riggs to mention all that. I know when I started, because for the longest time when I first started with the Bowling News, after bringing the column back from a monthly, it's our original publication, the Will County Sportsman, which folded in 2009, to the Bowling News in October of 12. We went from monthly to all of a sudden I had to come up with 50 new columns a year. That's a little bit of material. That's probably, a good 5,000 words there. So television ratings was easy. It's once you get used to it, you know how to interpret it. You can ask, and I could ask back then Tom Clark all sorts of questions about this rating, that rating. Certain was because how Nielsen measures ratings is they do it in 15-minute increments. So you get a different rating for different viewership number for each quarter hour. So when he says, yeah, we at the end of the show had, 1 million plus viewers, it's true. So even if the average was, 850,000, at least you probably had somewhere near 7 to 750 to open up the show.
Right.
Hopefully you had some network programming, because against local programming or local infomercials, you're not going to have a whole lot like the one we had Sunday, the Players Championship. And I'll step on that later. I'll mention that later. Yeah, step all over it. Yeah, right. That's what my critics say. Thanks.
Yeah.
Glad you're paying attention too, kids. Looks good on you though.
Right. No, supposed to go back to Jerry Lundegaard because that's who he was talking about.
Oh, the reference.
Yeah.
It was I knew a preacher once from up there from Fargo.
Yeah.
And he knew I spent time in St. Cloud and would obviously had a Wilmer connection with my dad working there. And he said, you have to see Fargo. You will laugh your head off if you. I think he used different language to describe that. He did. He said, "You're going to laugh. Everyone's going to be terrified, but you're going to be laughing, even when there's blood flying everywhere." And he was right. I did. Especially with the most comical thing I found was the two girls in the bar in Bloomington. Now this is the cities, this isn't,
I know,
like they're not, it's like, I would have said St. Cloud, maybe, perhaps, Detroit Lakes, Fergus Falls, Small
Brainerd.
Falls, Little Falls. Yeah, right. But not Wilmer because, Highway 12 is the Bible Belt of Minnesota. You can't be beveraging too much there.
Yeah.
Where do I come up with stuff? I don't know. It's just to comment about the televised bowling and stuff. I can remember watching. I mean, I'm one of the few old enough to remember the Don Johnson 299 when that happened.
Yeah.
We were in my grandparents' house in Ross Township on the north side of Pittsburgh. It was a humid day there, showers off and on. It's kind of muggy, but it was early April. It's sort of odd. We were all wound up waiting for the Pirates to open up what would be their final half season at Forbes Field later that next week. And here comes bowling. I thought, okay, well, we're grandparents. They may not want to watch, but the five of us sat there and watched it. Oh. And we were just dumbfounded. We thought, wow, Stefanich opens up the 260 something and my string of strikes, and boy, this is kind of fun. But this at that time, this was the last show of the year. This was it till January of '71. So enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then that last game starts, and it was like, wow. I mean, my God, they both had the front six.
Yeah.
And then the ending was just heartbreaking. But I think the biggest thrill was to years later talk with Jimmy Johnson about that game, that show, and especially that last ball. Yeah. And even the piece I did for Flow Bowling on the 50th anniversary, which thankfully they put in during the tournament, which was in February, which if we had gone with my suggestion, gone with the actual anniversary, that would have been during the lockdown.
Oh.
So that would have spoiled all that, but I'm glad. But he sent me some pictures of his kids. He has a son who laid on the approach on lane 27, exactly where his dad. I said, hey, come on, it's legacy. I mean, it's it's the spot, and those approaches are still wood to this day.
Yeah,
probably the very same approaches. I mean, the original. I go back to the original top 25 list, TV bowling moments list I did, and about I think 7 or 8, maybe 9 of them occurred during a Firestone in that house. So how can you, that's sacred ground. And the fact that Dave Lamont, Dave, I hope you're watching. I love you, brother. Great mention during the show in 19 that you also remember watching that. And I got his response to that game and that ball as well, that final shot. And it's still, and that appeared in the, and I'll get into the point of how that column got the life that it did. When the Chris Peters group first took over the PBA, Damon Saccarato, who had worked for them at the time, came to Brunswick Zone Deer Park because I ran the shop, and they were going to host the 2000 version, which they did, the one that Jason Couch won the middle of his three TFCs. And he said, we made a copy of an article to give to our staffers, our new PBA staffers who don't know the history of it. And he handed me a copy of it. And it was a copy of that article that I wrote. Oh, wow. And that was the third Just Paying Attention I ever wrote. It had been a concept in my head forever. And I gave it to, I mailed a copy to Bill Vint. I said, Bill, am I onto something here? Should I, because I'm a broadcast guy, to be honest, I'm a broadcast guy. Mm-hmm. There was a big rivalry between us and the newspaper people in college, the St. Cloud State Chronicle and UTVS, because they looked at us like the Don Henley Dirty Laundry video. There we go. There's that.
I had
Stay classy, St. Cloud State. That's right. See, when I tell people my Ron Burgundy, I'm not kidding. That was, I think, the second or maybe the first or second time I anchored. Somebody from the newspaper wanted to take a picture, and they said, just look natural. So there's Ann next to me, my co-anchor. She was just, it's like, oh God, you get this photographer out of here. Let's just start the show. Yeah. And it was live, it was live at 12 noon. So there I am, just looking, I wish I tied my title tighter, but oh well. But I thought, oh my God, that was pre-mustache. And so I'm not kidding when I tell people, yeah, I had the Ron Burgundy.
Mm-hmm.
That was,
you had it down. Yeah.
Those were the days.
Sure.
Those were the days. And then I did the weather too. I thought I was going to be more of a zany Barry Zaman, the weatherman, or what Letterman used to do in Indianapolis and just kind of make fun. But I had to live 3.5 minutes. Boy, wasn't stand up, but boy, I could just pop through it like it was, Swiss cheese to a cheese head. It was like piece of cheese. Well, piece of cake, but
here in Wisconsin, what is a piece of cheese?
Piece of cheese.
Yeah.
Piece of cheese and a Miller Lite. Okay.
So Derek says that you're so old you saw Ed Lubansky shoot 2 300s in a row live.
I was almost alive for that. 59. I'm 60, so I'll let you do the math.
Right.
Well, I'll put it this way: look up Pete Weber's birthday and add 3 days. That's me. Thanks.
Okay, there you go.
So there you go. That's. Yeah. He is. Hold on here. Okay, we're gonna try something here. Yeah. More improvised live television.
Okay.
It's television, folks. Come on, let's be serious. That's where all this stuff comes from.
I love that. That's a huge compliment.
Sis boom ba.
Derek also thinks that Dave Lamont needs to be in the booth full time with Randy.
That's a sticking point among bowling fans I've seen for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. The problem is you have the network that wants to bring in new viewers. Now, if you go back to what ESPN did when they used to pre-feed on ESPN3, they used to shoot all those finals, the World Series back probably 15 years ago. They would tape, I don't know how many shows over a weekend or 3 days, but it was just one after another after another. I remember seeing something from Tom Clark that said on those they had 8,000 live viewers. And at the time, once they aired on the network, not live, of course, but when they aired, you drew 800,000. Yeah. Okay, do the math. What draws more? I mean, it's great for us bowling geeks and nerds, but for network television, not so much. And Randy's even said that when he's on FS1, he can get a little more techie. But as far as Big Fox, you got to reel it in a little bit. You have to be somewhat of a entertainer.
Yeah.
Without getting too Carnival Barker-ish,
mm-hmm.
which is off-putting to the core audience. But at least Fox took a chance on us, and they're doing all right with it.
Yeah. No, and that's one that I'm just, unbiased is a great word, because I think Lamont does a great job. I was,
he's outstanding.
Had a pleasure of meeting him at the last.
He gets pro bowling.
Yeah.
And that Don Johnson comment, he gets it. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. He gets it. He could do it, but then again, he's closer to my age than yours. And how many old guys do you see on ESPN nowadays? I mean, you don't see Berman much.
Yeah, that's true.
He's just hanging on till I don't know, 70 till his next contract runs out. I'm surprised he hasn't retired yet.
Yeah. No, I think he's great. I think Stone is great. I think the guy they had on FS1, the college basketball guy, for those early shows with the Players Championship, and his name escapes me, but
It's not Dave Ryan, is it?
No, not Dave Ryan. He's great too, but
yeah, the other guy,
Jason?
I can't remember his name, but he brought up he brought up the soaking.
Yep.
The one that Stoney wouldn't quite leave alone because you could tell he didn't do any serious research on it.
Sure.
But by the way, yes, it is. Of course, Grady gets texts and he lets us in on that little secret that it was methyl ethyl ketone or toluene, or if you look up MEK in Wikipedia, for example, not always the best place for factual information, but okay, in a pinch it'll work. If there's some other, I can't think of what it is, but
oh gosh, it's not John's own. I'll think of it right when we go off, but he does college basketball for Fox. I know that.
Yeah.
But I thought
he did pretty well.
Yeah,
he was a lot better than Irv Brown or Jim Kelly. Not the football quarterback, but the other guy. God, he would not shut up about golf. I mean, Pete Weber's got the front, 7, 8, 9, 10 on in 2001, the night that was the birth night of PDW, and he's talking golf. It's like, no, Jim, this is not rain delay theater. You don't phone it in. Oh my God, he just and that's what and obviously the work that we did together, you could tell. His first name is John.
Yeah, it was John something.
Oh yeah, not Fagan or something or other. Well, somebody will. Maybe I should check my phone.
I followed him on Twitter right away. But Derek says Jim Kelly was garbage. But
you're being kind. He was the second worst ever. Yeah. Irv Brown was just horrible.
Yeah.
He was just he didn't want to know anything. He probably thought he was going to outdo Chris Schenkel, which, come on.
Yeah.
Only one guy did, and one guy came close in my opinion, but
and that was
Mike Durbin. If you didn't know, Mike Durbin was not a bowler.
Yep.
I mean, him and Earl in the booth were just, oh boy, that was good. That was good. I mean, from a bowler standpoint, from a broadcaster standpoint.
Or Durbin and Marshall.
Yeah. Marshall was another good one. It was, I guess if you go back far enough, and when NBC had the game of the week in the World Series, they had all the baseball on network 55, 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Sandy Koufax was a commentator. And the point of having him on there was kind of like the lure that Fox is using for Tom Brady right now. They want the man to commentate about his stuff and how he did things. Koufax never did that. Yeah. Koufax, that was a big beef, and he didn't have the personality, didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, so he dropped out after a couple years. So anyway, where were we?
So I was just kind of going through Derek's comments. He mentioned that doing the weather for radio stations is tough, and he would know. He's in that game himself. But
are you ready? We didn't do it earlier. It's only we have only 35 minutes into the show, and I forgot my opening line.
So this is the famed WLS.
So good evening, and what can I tell you? No, I say that after the forecast. That was the thing I did with Waz's show, because Matt Cannizzaro had a theme, and I said, well, I'm on almost as often, if not more, because Matt was on during the USBC Open Championships. He would give the weekly update.
Sure.
And Matt had his own thing. They had his personalized theme. I said, well, this is cool. I said, well, if he gets that, put on put on the first, 58 seconds of Baker Street. I'll ride the ramp. I'll break every radio rule. You're not supposed to talk over that. But I did. And I thought for fun, just for fun, I'll give the old WLS forecast, which kind of went WLS radar weather showing a clean screen across Chicagoland. But right now there's still a tinge of haze with smoke in the air. And also we have a chance of rain coming up in the forecast Friday, along with our reasonably cool temperatures. Highs tomorrow near 70, upper 60s on Friday with a chance of rain. Right now at O'Hare we have 40. Right now at O'Hare we have 52, 51 at Midway, and 48 at the former Meigs Field, high above the downtown Burger King on Music Radio WLS.
Wow.
So, and I didn't go full blast. I didn't want to annoy the wife because she'll be tapping on the door any minute now saying, "Will you shut up? God, you're so loud." Unfortunately, it's across the hall, so
Mine would
Anyway,
say the same if I hadn't shut the window.
but that's sort of my I grew up I was in high school in the 70s out in Galesburg, Illinois, Jim Sundberg's hometown, and that was the radio that we had. We had a guy named Spike Odell in the Quad Cities who later went to work at the big blowtorch, the big mighty 720 WGN. Was there for a number of years and then retired. But listening to WLS, they played, top 40, but they let the jocks talk and be funny and have little bits every now and then. So you had guys like established jocks like Larry Lujack come up with his signature bit was animal stories. Him as the charming and delightful old Uncle Lair, along with Tommy Edwards, little snot-nosed Tommy, where they would stammer through farm stories about animals getting hurt or animals hurting people. And Larry would just tell them with such a reverence. They're on YouTube. They're all over YouTube.
Yeah.
And then at nighttime, it was another radio hero, John Records Landecker, where I heard the show enough where I basically memorized the whole open. He had this sound effect of sort of like an organ music with people clapping in the background. And he would start, and he would hear the applause, and he would say, "Oh, too kind. They are too kind." And then he would go into, "Coming to you live from high above the downtown Burger King. WLS is proud to present the latest chapter of the ongoing saga of John Records Landecker and his job." And then he would go on to some little riff about something or other. Then you would hit the quick sounder, a fast pace Music Radio WLS, and then you hit the first song pretty medium to up tempo, and then he would ride the ramp and all the way to the end. It was just energy all the way through the show, including some of his "Can I Get a Witness" news, and of course his infamous boogie check, where he would put people live on the air. In the early days, they did it without a 7-second delay.
Oh.
They quickly put one in. The engineers figured out how to do it.
Okay.
They used a couple reel-to-reel tape machines, and they figured out that with the distance of tape, that it happened to came out to be 7 seconds, where they could delay what you heard on the air in case somebody said, "Hey, John, F you," or "You suck," or something like that.
Yeah.
But he would get all the, wild teenagers, and people would just wait for that segment to start so they can call in and just razz them.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's also, you can find that on YouTube as well.
Sure. Yeah, we were talking WLS, not WSLM. That's where Derek does his radio.
No, WLS was the last great AM rocker ever. They flipped formats in February of '89. Most stations, like Derek would be more familiar if you'd heard the old WABC, which carried wall-to-wall coverage of the Beatles in '64 from their hotel and from everywhere else. They flipped to talk in '81, and it was there's all sorts of things on YouTube about those jocks and how everybody loved them, and you would tune in just to hear some, Ron Britton's show or Landy's show or whoever else was on there. They had favorites who were there, 10, 15 years uh, in the same time slot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's a pre-internet. It's hard to describe to the Gen Zers what life was like, and some of the millennials too, before internet. How we used to get our information and how we were entertained.
Yep.
It was a much different era.
For sure. Yeah. So back to this this Hall of Fame thing. I also reached out to Nicole DePaul, who told me that
Oh,
the induction is a lifetime achievement for Mark. She says she is proud of you for getting the recognition that you deserve for your writing on the sport of bowling.
she's a sweetheart. She is. She's an very kind old soul. I've known her for probably, let's see, I don't want to do the math too well here, but probably 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
Back when she was, back after I had just moved to Chicago, and she was a student at Illinois State, going to school, well before she started working at Kegel and then later USBC. She was one of the original designers. She helped out. She was on the design team of some machine called the Flex and the
Yeah.
Foundation.
Yeah.
Those big
Those-
square machines.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blue and the red ones that are all over everywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was her.
Yeah.
Very good with chemistry. She knows her oil patterns, how they migrate. I mean, she is a real doctor in chemistry. She knows what she's talking about. So she's very, very kind, and I wish her well in her future endeavors wherever she ends up. And in fact, she's promised me an interview when things settle down a little bit to talk about what happened to the Upper Iowa bowling program.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Just you feel for her, for those kids, and for bowling. They had something growing there, and unfortunately, yeah, they made that move. Derek says Nicole's a great person. Never met her, but talked to her several times. Yeah, having met her through the live streams and stuff that we did for the Peacock Classic, it was it's a pleasure to know her. Let's kind of get back into the origins, and I've covered a lot of this when we talked last time, but you talked about St. Cloud and your time there, graduating in journalism. What about the writing and the television work specific to bowling? Is that something that you knew you had the passion for right there in St. Cloud and wanted to do something about it, or did that kind of grow over time?
I think I probably got the urge before that. My high school years in Galesburg, a lot of things happened where all of a sudden we lived in a town where I had to walk by Northgate Lanes in order to get to high school. Whoops. So, so I was by, I could walk there, I could ride my bike, and later I think the first time after I got my driver's license, that was the first place I went, which was less than a mile away, just to drive there, just to see what it was like. And of course, it was dusk, and I forgot to put the lights on because you had to do that manually back then.
Oh yeah.
Back in the same summer, we were listening to Jerry Rafferty's Baker Street. So,
Okay.
okay, so do the math there. Yeah, I know. So,
I'm going 1978.
exactly. That was our driver. That was our driver's ed song that summer.
Okay.
I had to take driver's ed, and there was three of us in the car, then two of us and a teacher, and then just me later on. So, I got to pull up and down, go halfway to Peoria on I-74, then come back, and later go back the other way toward Moline Quad City International Airport. But you know, and of course, in high school, I was the bowler. I was the bowling geek. So when this news broke out that I'm, kind of a big deal now, it it didn't surprise a lot of them. Maybe the Hall of Fame did, but the fact that I still bowl, that I can still beat the kids every now and then. Nice. So that's always a nice feeling to be recognized by your peers, even though it was 45 years ago.
Sure. Yeah. You, you know, bowling in writing, I know by me, in a smaller city, there isn't much of an outlet for that. Did it take time for you to, kind of find your place to start and get the reps, or did you have a place to write about bowling where you were at?
Not really. I know St. Cloud. A couple people had talked about putting a bowling newspaper together because there were, I think, 5 or 6 centers in town at the time. There's 2 now, unfortunately. Um, there was that, but we couldn't find enough advertisers. And then I was with another group who wanted to put this super pro shop together, again, for the same reason, independent of all the centers. There very strong loyalty toward each center, as it was almost in every town, large and small, that had multiple centers. You had people loyal to one place or another.
Mhm.
But as far as writing about bowling, I was still in that mode. I was in college, where the print people, hey, if you want to give them a piece of kryptonite, give them a video camera. That'll drive them nuts. And it did back then. It did.
Yeah.
But now it's commonplace. They had to shoot video. Like my buddy Tom Elliott with Wilmer at my dad's old paper. I knew him from St. Cloud when he worked at the St. Cloud Times. Back when that was a real newspaper, because Gannett owned it, and they printed USA Today, and now they're a shopping news. Really, it's a shame.
Yeah.
But putting the two together, um, I still thought I was a broadcaster first. The writing didn't really kick in until the late Don Lattis, God rest his soul, who had the Will County Sportsman. He worked as sports and in sales for WJOL Radio Joliet, the big 1340 news station now, from 1954 until his retirement, I think in 08 or 09. I mean, he was there when Willie Mays made that World Series catch. He worked at WJOL. And 10 years before that, this is the same station that had some announcer who changed his name on the advice of a general manager. Caravella became Carey, as in Harry Carey. And then later he went back to St. Louis. But I worked in the same building where that happened. I happened to walk by an office or two, wondering if it was at this office where that happened. It should be a plaque somewhere, really,
Yeah.
At the time. But as far as putting the two together, Don had me on for a couple of bowling shows. They had the Will County Open, which was a December scratch tournament. The winner got a free entry to I think the Masters, either the U.S. Open or the Masters. And we did the finals a couple of times there, both simulcast on cable and also on WJOL, which bowling on radio you wouldn't think of, but he worked there. He was able to do it. So he did a lot of different things like that. Doing regional finals in the PBA, Midwest PBA. My first time was a huge break. The guy that was in charge of the TV crew, I went to college with at St. Cloud. In fact, he bowled on our ACY team with another guy named Mike Kingery, major leaguer, San Francisco Giant Mike Kingery, who's family owned, old Atwater Bowl. His late brother Doug won the Peterson one year too. So, great guy, great, just natural athlete. But the guy who was supposed to be the commentator made the show. So Kaiser kind of did one of these. All right, London, let's go.
Yeah.
I went, no way, really?
Here we go.
Happy, joy.
Yeah.
So we did the finals, and we got to chat with Dick Weber. And of course, my first question for Dick was, you're coming up on 65. Isn't Medicaid pretty soon coming up? Oh, yeah. He answered it like, no big deal.
Yeah.
But that was Dick.
Yeah.
Sorry, a little frog in the throat.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So, does it just kind of go on from there, or?
There weren't many. I did a few more, three in Maple Grove, two shows in Eagan, one with the late Johnny Canton, longtime uh, Twin Cities disc jockey and also spokesperson for Twin Cities Bowling Proprietors. A bunch of ads with him on there too, and he hosted a show, Bolorama. Just great guy. We actually co-commentated the finals because I knew I could keep score and do that, but he was just there because he was Johnny Canton, and
Uh,
he wasn't in the way. We just talked like a couple guys at a table having lunch and just talking about bowling. So it was kind of fun there doing that.
yeah.
Let's see, Peter the bowler. Peter, I'm trying to remember. I'm looking at the chat now.
Oh.
You probably did bowl with. I'm trying to think. Trying to blank now.
Yeah.
I bowled with a lot of people at Brunswick Zone Deer Park.
Okay.
Peter. If you drop the last name, I'll probably remember. It was a long time. I was there from 99 through 11.
Okay.
So, a good 12 years there.
That's
Saw a lot
a
of
span time.
in fact, if you go there, and I'm going to spill the beans here publicly again, if you go to the pro shop at Deer Park, ask to see the drill room wall, because we hosted the Tournament of Champions in 2000. And I had known that the year before, back during the World Open days, there was no attendant in the pro shop. You had to be a Brunswick employee.
Oh.
That one was not leased out. So the guys would go in there and help themselves to whatever, if they needed a quick bevel knife or sanding or whatever, they would jump in there and do that. So I worked there the whole, I think I set the BRC record for 83 and 3/4 hours in 1 week. And the couple of upper management were, but he was there the whole time, nothing disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did was I invited whoever was in there. I didn't think I'd be there the whole time, but I invited them to autograph the wall, sort of an old showbiz tradition. So I wish I had pictures of that. In fact, who's ever working there now can post them anytime he wants, because we had Carmen Salvino, we had Tom Koros, we had anybody. Of course, Randy autographed it. I grabbed Pete McCordick, Del Ballard, both Ballards, Carolyn and Dell. In fact, I did some commercial work with them for Brunswick, and we had some good times. They're very, very good people, very down to earth people. They always have been. It was great.
Derek says he loves that
place.
place.
Just anybody who's been through there.
Yeah.
I asked them, "Would you please autograph the wall?" Of course, you got to say please. That helps. So
and they did.
They did. Dave Ozio. I'm just trying to remember who else I know autographed. But if you were somebody, and then I think the funniest thing, I think he did sign it, but when Ernie Schlegel was bowling the TFC, he was still with Vice, not Vice Grips, but
Contour, right?
Contour, yes. He came in and gave me a whole sales spiel between squads. It's like, wow, this is nice.
Yeah.
And this was after his big year too, so that was kind of fun.
Sure.
Interesting guy. Very interesting cat. Love to sit down and have a couple of beers with him. Anybody who bowled the action scene and then survived and then bowled the PBA tour, showing us how different bowling can be. It was very, very fun. Okay. Yeah. How many PBA titles do I have? I don't have my banner. It's downstairs. It's in a cellophane bag, but I have this many.
One. Yep.
My obituary is going to say PBA champion. I won a regional, ironically, in the house that I work at now at Cherry Lanes in Dubuque. And it was kind of tinged with bittersweet to see Jason Wojnar on camera as a Brunswick rep now. Bittersweet because the house that his pro shop was at Oak Forest Bowl. I say unfortunately was because it burned down about a week and a half ago. Oh. And they have a GoFundMe somewhere. If you want to donate, please go ahead and donate. I gave him. He won, I think, 3 or 4 regionals after he lost to me.
Yeah.
So I said, You're welcome. I'm glad I pissed you off enough to make you not lose anymore. he, he liked that. He thought that was funny.
Yeah,
But
and I do
Little Bears
remember
Pro
seeing
Shop,
that
yeah.
on social. Yeah, that place had
Little
fire.
Bears Pro Shop, yeah. Oak Forest Lanes. It was, and I got one of my PB 300s in that house
Oh,
back in
oh,
'08. I was crossing with Bill Spigner of all people.
okay.
Got to be
Another
witnessed by somebody who's good.
another legend
I
in
know
the
Peter. I know the pro shop. Well,
there
Peter, I was there the longest there, brother. But
you
I've been gone almost as long as I was there.
go. Yeah. So Jay
I'm
says,
not sure. I'm not go. I'll tell you what, Peter the
yeah,
bowler.
go back to Peter there.
You better go ask Chris Simonson, your general manager, if you can go in there. All right. Tell him you talk to me, and as long as you mention my name, he'll probably let you in there. And then ask Chris about Mr. Bowling, and you'll probably get a blank stare from him on that one too. That's a guy that he was. God, Mr. Bowling, geez, he was good. I showed him a couple things. I told him to keep his hand behind the ball, and he did for about 2 weeks. And he shot 750, 720. His low was 720. I think
Okay.
he almost shot 800 one night. And then a couple weeks later, I saw him, and he went back to his old style. And I asked him, well, why? Well, it's too much work. Thus the moniker.
Yeah. Well, he says, "Will do.
You
Chris
know,
is great."
well, with commentating with or mentioning Euchre, one of his lines on Johnny Carson, his 100 appearances. Carson questioned him about, I see you have a batting average of 147. Of course, Euchre's line was, well, I was just screwing around. And I've got a great Bob Euchre story too.
Okay.
I'll tell it after. I probably should wait till after Euchre passes, because I don't want to get him in trouble. But it's a good story. It's a heartwarming story. It involves a him giving a speech
Okay.
in Joliet for the Old Timers Baseball Association that Lattice was in charge for as well. But where were we here? Bowl, yeah, bowl. Okay. I thought, well, I'll become a writer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll commentate whenever. But the writing just became, it was monthly. The Will County Sportsman was at that time. Talking about broadcasting, talking about the animal patterns that just come out. So I talked about those a little bit. Gave a little analogy about, a little the last PBA show in '97, how sad it was, how easy and how difficult it was to write obituaries because we had Don Johnson, Earl Anthony, and Dick Weber pass all within about a 5-year span. And
Oh, yeah.
later it was Billy Hardwick. So, and it's not up online anywhere, unfortunately. I should find it and put it up there. But I wrote the whole Weber obit without mentioning his name.
Really?
Didn't mention his name once. Not
Hmm.
once.
Wow.
Not once. I'll have to dig that out from somewhere. It's in some web archive somewhere. But I wrote the whole thing without mentioning. I figured if you don't know who this guy is, sorry,
Right.
you're not going to get it. That's okay.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to take this point in the show just to remind people to subscribe because
Oh,
I
please do.
got to do that. I'm kind of on the road to 2000 here and much, much closer. Thanks to those of you who checked out the video with Norm Duke, which it has been crazy popular. So thank you to all of you who watched that. But yeah, please do subscribe. Hit the logo in the bottom right. It does certainly help me continue to do what I'm doing. I do want to get into kind of the the Luby Hall of Fame a little bit, and as
Oh,
far as
okay.
context.
Oh, that's why I'm here. Yes.
Yeah. So, what do? You reach out to somebody who's, a first vice president of the IBMA, right? Kevin Hong. And, what does this Hall of Fame mean? And he says that he views the Hall of Fame as being a metaphor for the sport itself. Anyone can bowl. And with practice, you can get decent, and many people do average high, go on to achieve a 300 game 800 series, win some tournaments with a little more practice and dedication. You might win regional or national titles, but not everyone makes the Hall of Fame. And he says that bowling writers and media people are often behind the scenes. They work to disseminate information, but the general public that consumes that information doesn't necessarily
True.
know their names. He says, and yet it's important work that needs to be done. And to him, the Hall of Fame means that you have not only spent a lifetime in pursuit of your craft, but you have also consistently achieved excellence and shown dedication that few can match. I mean,
very well said. I mean, he's a bright guy. Kevin's going to get this award one day too. I promise. I'll vote for him. They won't let me stuff the ballot box, but he deserves to be in. He'll be there one day. His quality is, let's see if I can do it here. Okay, right about there. It's up there. It's up there. He's put those calendars together. He's another guy who gets it. I've interviewed him about his calendar and all the older centers. What you could have imagined have gone on in there back in the 40s and 50s when they were filled with smoke and all this. Just the game was so different then, and he captures the aura of that so very well through the photography. It's pleasantly stunning. I know I go with my wife Michelle to different museums, and I'm kind of art like the Chicago Art Museum. I mean, she just is okay. What's over here? What's that? What's there? It's okay. I appreciate the effort, the engineering aspect of putting this together. But if you were to put pictures of that together, I would just be mesmerized for hours and say some similar things. That don't you like the contrast between the shadows on the lane over to the shadows on the pin deck? Wouldn't that, as a metaphor for something else? And it's just in the eye of the beholder. And those of us who've done this for a while, and for those of you who don't know, my junior bowling career began in a house that was featured in Kingpin. There are two of us. Okay, two of us now. I can all say I'm almost famous.
Yeah.
But me and another guy who you've heard of, John Burkett, both were junior bowlers there. I was on Saturday mornings and he bowled Sunday mornings.
Yeah. He did okay throwing a baseball too. He struck me out, and he was the one who I blame him, tongue in cheek. He threw me a changeup when he was 9 years old. I still couldn't hit it. It was the first one I'd ever seen. And I swung it, missed it, and we all laughed. And so then what does he do? He throws it again. Sure.
And I weakly tap back to the pitcher and I go, okay, maybe I'm not going to be the next big center fielder for the Pirates. That's how we say it. Right. But I can't mention that team name around him because they jobbed him. I mean, imagine if he would have been with that early 90s team. They would have gone to the World Series.
Sure.
No doubt.
Yeah, Bonds.
But they don't want to pay him anything.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at the chat here. Who else here? John Fanta. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Eric says John Fanta is the guy. And that's it. And
he wasn't bad. I mean, for the first time on national, wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
You really have to suck now. They don't let you on the air if you really suck, especially if you're younger. But if you're older and you suck, they don't do that anymore. Television's different now.
Mm-hmm. I'll just keep this up here for the duration, right?
There you go. There you go. I'm good with that. I've been interviewed a few times.
I'm not going to say it myself, but I'm not going to stop you from saying that, Jay. No way. All right.
Too kind. Now let's open up the Landecker opening and do the self-mocking thing like we used to do back in the 70s. Okay, Jay Santos, do you have a question for me? I don't care. I don't care what it is. Ask it. If you think this is so great, please. Right. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have this frog in my throat where I have to cough every 10 minutes, but and I'm hoping not keeping the wife awake. And actually, because my job environment is now early mornings.
Mhm.
So this morning, my alarm went off at 3:15
Oh,
because I have to go out and deliver a paper route for the newspaper I work for, the Dubuque Telegraph Herald, which actually did a story on my little award. I even got acknowledged at our weekly employee meeting where everybody just kind of clapped and go, "Oh, right, yeah, yeah."
yeah,
But I'm still not a true journalist in the building because they have many more true journalists who cover much more serious topics.
yeah.
Jeff Weaver, yeah, he was, yeah,
Weird and Jeff
a
Weaver.
lot of guys. Let's see who else. Um, there was a senior pro from Northwest Indiana, Mickey Spezio. Actually, Crest Hill, he lived outside Joliet.
Mhm.
His brother, Eddie Spezio, played for the '64 Cardinals.
Oh,
Saw Bob Euchre's, bubble that he was in because they gave him hepatitis. That was Euchre's bit.
yep.
And his son, Scott, played for the '02 Angels.
Oh yeah, Scott Spezio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yep.
So here, welcome to Bowling with London special guest.
Ah, you see, you see,
Yeah, but
you can't handle the truth.
I'd be on the other
Don't
side of the
put London on.
screen.
You'll never shut him up. See, my dad
Uh,
will be proud of that.
yeah. Yep. World
He'd be
Series
proud of
champ.
that. Hey, it's
Yeah.
my I'm not interviewing anybody. When I interviewed Norm Duke last fall, I shut the hell. I asked a question and got the hell out of the way. That's what you do when you're interviewed. When you give good quotes, I'm sorry here, good sound bites, you talk.
Yeah.
Epic one, most memorable. If you know old '70s baseball, Reggie Jackson, Lee May.
Yeah.
Who do you know more of?
Obviously, Reggie Jackson.
Similar batting stats except for home runs.
Hmm.
But season to season, they were almost the same.
Yeah.
But Reggie put asses in the seats.
Hmm.
His quote, he told everybody that.
Yep.
He was good for the television. And if you watch some of the old documentaries, when he's talking to Dick Schaap, longtime journalist whose son still works for ESPN if he hasn't been laid off yet, but he would go, "Yeah, watch me. I'm doing the TV. I'm doing the TV. You watch this you have me eating out of your hand." And he did. He was one of the first ones to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ernie. I could see. Yeah, Ernie. Yeah,
Mhm.
Ernie.
He,
That's why he wrote a book. He had John Mark write a book 10 years ago
yeah.
about the
I,
backstory on the infamous 8-pin. What a great book that was.
I still have
I
a
wish
copy that I've been poring over. I got through it, but I wanted to kind of reread parts of
about
it.
about 20 feet from me is a proof copy
Oh, wow.
that I reviewed.
Okay.
So it had all the raw stuff in there.
Yeah. No, Derek
Really.
crushed me on that. He got over 4 hours. Mine only ran 2.5. But
Yep, Gary Nolan. Yeah, he was another. Yeah, not fond of the Reds. Sorry,
yeah.
I respect them a little bit, but they beat up my team too much in the '70s,
Yep.
except for 1 year
We
where
are
Pops
family.
got to you.
Yep.
Pops. Yeah, he homered a lot.
Sure. So okay. Going on with the Kevin Hong theme here because he's got some more great stuff here. He said Mark's interviewed me on several occasions, not only about my photographic work. He said, but a few years ago, I was involved in a campaign to have Glenn Allison's 900 series retroactively certified, and Mark wrote several just paying attention columns covering that effort. It is clear that Mark is not only an outstanding journalist, but he is first and foremost a bowler and a fan of bowling. So he understands what topics are of interest to the bowling public, and he understands how to tell those stories in a way that educates without getting overly technical or getting lost in jargon or rare breed. And he makes a good point there because you can be a journalist, you can be a bowler, but to really hit the nail on the head, I think you got to be both in when you're talking about writing about bowling. No,
They don't call me Mr. Analogy for nothing. I've been called that so many times, and I got how many people have had Chet Murphy angry at him Thank you. Um, One of the pieces I wrote and was not the week of the last time that the series was turned down. This is probably about 10 years ago, and I I went back to the Sports Illustrated article that mentioned the original sanction form, the actual form that's in USBC headquarters. Both boxes were checked. The local association checked yeah, it's good, the please sanction box. And then Bert Kellerman, then ED of the ABC, checked the I don't think so box. And Chad got all bent out of shape and he even called me and I said, you know, I'm just reporting a fact. I'm not going to retract it. I'm not going to retract it now. And I'm also going to mention, I'm glad to see that you guys have stopped issuing Friday afternoon press releases, because those of us who've worked in the mainstream media know that anything that comes in after 3 o'clock on Friday will never, ever, ever see the light of day.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that they're getting better at that. And speaking of which, the 900 story goes back to my dad, God rest his soul too. In when that story hit the Wall Street Journal in July of '82, one, they rarely did sports articles, rarely. Two, it made the bottom of the front page,
Hmm.
bottom of the front page of the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. That didn't happen. So my dad, the longtime newspaper publisher, asked me point blank in July of '82, Mark, are you sure you want to be involved in an industry that does that to its stars?
Hmm.
Think about that. Point blank.
Yeah.
Does that to its stars. Not this, this other technical stuff. And unfortunately, we look at it now through 2023 glasses about how lanes were certified and sanctioned, how shots were sanctioned years ago. Why did we do it? It's like, oh my God, that was backwards.
Yeah.
I was like looking through the wrong end of a telescope.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, lanes are going to change during transition if you have ever be. And then there was in Bowler's Journal, they showed a graph where a copy of a graph that showed the 8 board had a lot less oil than the other boards around it. Most of the boards on the lane, there's this drop on the 8 board. Well, obviously, he was hitting that the whole night.
Yeah.
Throwing a yellow out. And now he just appeared in his 71st USBC.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody who's done anything in this business for any length of time knows that is the primo series of all time. That's like throwing it with a cinder block, to put it in other terms. For people who were not alive back then, it was just the second year of urethane. He threw like a 553 or 556, the first block, and then he comes out with the Lady Anchor Trio League with a yellow dot. Throws, I think, what was it, like 43 in a row from practice, and then after this 36 strike in league, they had him throw a couple more. Then he stoned at 8 and said, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
Stoned at 8.
Wow.
True story. Those of anybody who knows that.
Huh.
What else? Okay.
Well, let's talk about Jay's question here. Any thoughts on Bolero?
Okay. Yes and no.
Okay.
They're good and they're not so good. The guy I worked for in Houston, Mike Austin, had a shop at 2 different Boleros. The one down by NASA in Clear Lake. He thought he had an agreement and they said no, and they asked him to leave, and he was doing all kinds of business down there. In fact, that's part of the reason why I was down there, was to help run that one, because I live near there. It's gotten a little better, but they have to make some money on it, charging $7 to $10 a game, and make it have value. And I guess, for in their eyes, that's how you do it, because you don't get by around here with $3.50 or $4 a game at nighttime play for open play. It's really undervalued in that way. But they're back in the PBA Tour. They're doing better with it. They have Fox. I mean, thank God we don't have ESPN anymore. I mean, that would be we would have been kicked off their network too. just like Disney kicked us off EBC. Disney would have kicked us off ESPN a few years ago too. Which it was a good partnership for a while, but if you looked at the website, especially the first couple of years, they had a different category on there somewhere, PBA, this and that, and then eventually it went. You had to search for it, and then eventually it disappeared. So
sure,
not good.
So you know where you're at in
So
that case.
it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag, unfortunately.
Sure.
I'm gonna plug my people. I just signed another contract with this company.
All right, congratulations.
Today. And these people have had me for 20 years, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks to Brett Spankler and thanks to CDB with Turbo.
If I had, if my schedule was different, we would have done this on Monday, and you could have called it a Motive Monday. But
true
things.
And well, I had a video up the week before, so it's all right.
Yeah, there you go. So here's, I've been, kind of sitting on this because, I've got to put this up here. And
please do. Go ahead.
You come and do color commentary with me at the 2023 Peacock Classic. It was fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And then you end up in the Hall of Fame in that order. Does one have anything to do with the other?
Time will tell. I hope so. Well, we're not going to have another Peacock Classic, unfortunately. That's unfortunately stopped. God, I think I think I finally need to cut all my hair off. It just doesn't. It's not television nice. I don't have the Ron Burgundy anymore, but well, you look at the John Madden game too. Who's ever on the cover seems to get hurt or whatever, but the kids don't. The younger players don't seem to mind. It's a badge of honor, really, to be. You're on there forever for that year. It's not like everybody buys a new version every year, but yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm good with that.
Next question.
Jay says he refuses to roll at Bolero for multiple reasons. He says lanes are garbage, arcades a complete ripoff, food is atrocious, into a carnival attraction. And I mean, I can see that point. I can also see, that there are good things that come from Bolero. You got to understand, though, I don't live in a community that has Bolero centers,
right?
So I'm not the best to truly give an informed opinion on that.
Smaller towns don't have Boleros because Bolero needs mountains of revenue to generate. They have to do that for their existence. So you may have to drive a bit.
St. Paul.
Oh yeah, they're but not in St. Cloud. But not in St. Cloud. I don't think. God, I hope not, because there's only 2 centers left.
South and Granite, right?
Granite's gone. Great River up in Sartell, a place where I drilled my very first bowling ball back in the 80s. Ooh. Yeah.
Wow.
The Mathiasen family had me on for a couple years there. It was a great learning experience, being a manager and being kind of, the pro shop guy. That's where I cut my teeth there and drilled a AMF Sidewinder. If you've ever seen one of those, that's an interesting piece. It's not your typical jig where you stand in front of it and have the main piece come straight down. It comes in from the side, and it's about chest high.
Oh, hence the name, I guess.
It's different, yeah.
Wow. All right. All right. Take me kind of into the future here. You said, Jeff says he hopes you do it for a long time. You said yes. How long do you keep doing this? How long do you keep writing a book?
Well, as long as there's material to write. I mean, I remember asking a couple of the other writers of the Bowling News back in the day. Late Leisha Murr had her column. That was kind of fun to read. And I got to give props to Clint Dacey, who just moved to Oklahoma, the Dace Man. Uh, never, always shy. Always, never would mention anything. Yeah, right. Yeah. He would let it fly and he knew it. It's like, I'll deal with it. Fine. But I got to give him props because I basically replaced him as a columnist for the Bowling News because I mean he mentioned it and also Leisha mentioned it. I said, why don't you keep going with it? And Zeno Garcia had a column in there too. He said, well, we just didn't have any material. They just ran out of material. And I thought, okay, well, I've got the training in it. I know bowling. I know media. You can't always with 50 columns a week or a week. I wish 50 columns a year. Um, here's a Freudian slip in there for you. Uh, 50 columns a year. Staggering to me too. I just thought of a Karnak bit in my head. I don't know why I know. So that's somewhere else.
That's way off.
We've been talking about that at work, but anyway, when you're writing 50 columns a year, you have to have different. Like one column I did was on the death of two people who influenced my weekends back in my youth, and they died a day apart. Chuck Knoll and Casey Kasem.
Huh.
So I wrote about that. I also wrote about a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, I wish I had the full library. Unfortunately, the first 5 years of that column are gone. But sometimes you have to go a little bit further. I remember bowling regional in Peoria at the landmark lanes. But at the time, there was talk about, and Dane Fogelberg, the late Dane Fogelberg, was a native of there, and they were talking about having his a park, portion of a park nearby the high school, and also the convenience store where the song "Auld Lang Syne," same old Lang Syne unfolded. That there's an actual store where that happened, based on a true event. So after the regional, after I coughed up a check there, drove over there just to see what it was like, just to see if there was no, there was no effort past just talking the Peoria Journal Star, the one that Johnny Campos used to work for, but I thought I got to write about this because the choir director at my high school knew a friend of Fogelberg, who was a choir director at Woodruff High School that was still open at the time. So we had heard in my senior year of high school that Fogelberg is going to have this real different song. So get ready for it. It's different than anything else he's done. And it was Same Old Lang Syne. And it was probably still to this day one of the best non-Christmas songs you hear a lot of during the holidays.
Yeah.
Because it's about something that happened, Christmas Eve, and couldn't find a liquor store open or an open bar. Well, it's Christmas Eve, yeah, but just stories like that are, they are out there. But because I bowled a tournament there, that's how I got to, go near there again and see what was going on and find out the backstory about it. And sometimes and that was one of the first columns I wrote as the final column of the calendar year. It was always a different vibe in the Bowling News, and kind of still is. I remember one issue had come out that told me a lot about Tony and Jeannie Franklin, great people. I wish I spent more time around them to get their energy. They really get it. They really, really do get it. And their young daughter Tori gets it too. As a bowler, she's very, very good. She has a bright future in front of her. But thinking of, okay, they're based out of Dallas. It was on their paper's dated on a Thursday, the 50th anniversary of the JFK assassination. What do you think the paper did? They talked to a bunch of other people, and the legend, new USBC Hall of Famer Jamie Brooks, about what life was like that day.
Hmm.
50 years prior. How bizarre it was. And that happened literally, downtown Dallas, Daily Plaza, about the things about, this huge event that happens, down the street, and what life was like that day. And I thought, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This is what it's about. This is what, and I'm going to make a point here too. So get your quote machine ready. This is what Dan Patrick and Rich Eisen now do, because sports talk radio has become so strange. It's yelling and finger pointing and all this crap going on. It's distracting as hell to it's crabby old pre-digital people. But my point is this: sometimes it's more than just the sport. It's more than just who won, who lost, who got the most strikes, who threw the most revs, and all this other stuff. Sometimes it's a little bit deeper than that. And that's why I use the phrase, you have to really look at how bowling fits not only in sports, but in our little corner of the world. We see
Yep.
things a little bit differently.
Mhm.
Some people would be scared S-less if bowling became bigger than PGA golf.
Yeah.
Even when Tiger was playing, if we reach those heights, people would not know what to do, because even today I still get asked, why aren't we on Saturday afternoons? It was so much easier then, so much simpler then.
Yeah.
Well, media is not like that anymore. Life isn't like that anymore. You hate to use that analogy, but it doesn't work in today's television. We don't have Eddie Elias making deals with Rune Arledge on a handshake anymore.
Right.
That era does not exist anymore. In fact, the sad thing was, I remember after Arledge died, I read autobiography of him, written shortly before he passed. He's often credited with giving Eddie Elias 90 minutes before Wide World of Sports to be the prelim program onto the big ratings getter of Wide World. How many times do you think Rune Arledge mentioned the name Chris Schenkel in a 300-page book?
I I couldn't even fathom a guess.
You can count it on one finger.
Really? Just
Once.
once? Huh.
Once. And it wasn't about bowling either. It was about all the other stuff he did on Wide World, all the segments and all the boxing and the gymnastics, and briefly about the Munich Olympics, where
Sure.
he didn't utter that great line that Jim McKay came up with to recap everything. They're all gone.
Yeah.
Line. It had to be. It was Jim McKay. It wasn't Chris Schenkel who said that.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, I'm reading the questions here. Are you still able to bowl? They call
yeah,
it that.
very well. Don't let him sell himself
I
short.
did. I didn't wear my bling today. I'm sorry. I still average 220 as a 3-game-a-week league hack, although I cashed I almost cashed in the second regional, but I got check PBA 60 check. So I'm going to see if I can bowl maybe one more, maybe hit the over-under doubles in Joliet. I'm available.
There you go.
If you want a token old guy, plus like to say hi to the Condos family.
And it's over under 50 or 40, 45?
Over under 50.
Over under
Over
50.
under 50. Similar to the format that Emerald Bowl in Houston uses the weekend before Christmas. They fill that tournament every year. It's usually the names that show up: Walter Ray and some kid bowls, and Pete and some kid bowls, and Barney and some other guy bowls. So
Yeah. Derek says bowling will never get the respect it needs because you're rolling a heavy object at white objects 60 feet away.
It won't get the respect because I heard this on another podcast. Yeah, everything you hear on the internet is true. I promise.
Yeah.
But seriously, the thing about that outside people who are just into the four main sports and maybe a couple others look at bowling and they see a pro shooting 210 game, maybe a 200, maybe a 190 game. They go, I see that at my local house. I can do that. I can do. Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
But if the pros shoot 260 all the time, well then is there value in that?
Right.
But that's the big. I've had this discussion with, I can't tell you how many USBC Hall of Famers like late Don Ellis and Bill Spigner and John Handegard and a few other people about what happened.
Yeah.
Bowling was supposed to break through that glass ceiling back in the late 80s, early 90s, and
It didn't.
it went the other way. It went
Yeah.
the other way. It was just sad. It's just it's unexplainable. You have to have a separation of levels. I equate it to those who play softball, co-rec softball in league, and they might have a couple home runs. Even if you're playing in a league that has a limited fly ball, limited ball that not supposed to fly, because if you hit a home run, it's an out or whatever. Even if you're hitting 750 in softball, are you going to lace them up with the Cubs or the Brewers in a couple of weeks? I don't think so.
No.
You're not going to do it. So league bowling is yeah, it's different, but NASCAR, yeah, NASCAR has had its problems too of getting. It got to be a large regional sport, and it still very much is a passion south of the Ohio River. But you go elsewhere, and it has pockets where it's popular. But you have to have personalities that really sell it, that really engage people. And the biggest ratings getter in bowling the last 20 years is the guy who used to do this.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I'm in camera view now. I can, yeah. And when Pete appeared on the show, he was the persona. And that little 30 for 30 was only like 15 minutes on him. But imagine if they had unleashed him in the late 80s.
Sure.
That would have been, he was totally revolutionary in that respect, along with, and I've been lucky enough to have seen all the greats live. I've seen everybody live in the last 40 years, and he's by far the best physical talent I've ever seen. Yeah. I saw him when he was 16 throwing a ball. I've seen him when he was 60 throwing a ball. And it's just, wow. It's just, it's just phenomenal. I saw him down at the regional where I cashed about 6 weeks ago, and I said, I still have about a quarter of your revs. He goes, yeah, you're right. Without missing a beat. Yeah. Because we go back and forth on that forever. I said, yeah, but I'm still older than you. Yeah, you are.
Nope. Oh, all right. I always end these things by going off the sheet. You went off the sheet last time. Jackie has not reached out. I don't like to press the issue. I mean,
before you go further, I have to thank her. She was the one who put my name in nomination for this award. Oh. So without her help and without her appointing me Bowler of the Month committee chair for 12 years, we're not talking about this right now. So I got to thank J-Dub. And she's the only woman I've ever known who could wear San Francisco Giant orange and 49er red together and pull it off.
That is a talent.
That's J-Dub.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe she hasn't heard that she's been challenged to be on this show, but if not her, who would you like to be on a future episode? Do you have a name to suggest?
Well, we talked about him earlier, Diamond Dave. Dave Lamont.
Yeah. See, you said Diamond Dave, and I'm thinking David Lee Roth. Does he bowl?
I call him Diamond Dave. Almost everybody I know, even I said that to Traber one day, and he went, "What?" Gave it the typical Traber look.
Yeah. Dale or Dave?
Up. Dave. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Jay wants to see Maximum Bob Smith. Yeah, I want to see Robert Smith here too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Dave Lamont, if you're seeing this, yeah, let me know. We'll make it happen.
Well, you've had Randy. You've talked with Normie.
Mhm.
I talked with Norman. He gave me some nuggets that were just massive.
He's
I
super.
could have filled up. I could have filled up 2 columns with all of his material, so I had to divvy it up over 5 different
Yeah.
columns. But in fact, just to jump on me, I got one for you. I
Okay.
got one for you. Toby Contreras.
Ah, and I've exchanged messages with him a couple times, and
I think he would do it.
yeah, yeah.
And in fact, he was the first person I saw at Liberty Lanes in Carpentersville. And I said, Toby, the guy whose fault this is that I got this award because he gave me my first story was your buddy, Charlie Tapp.
Yeah.
And he just laughed. He just laughed. Because if you remember at the end of the match, they did not shake hands.
Oh,
Charlie just grabbed his stuff and went off because Toby was jumping around being enthusiastic and all. And he answered a question I've been asking for years. They did shake hands later on in the
wow.
paddock,
Okay.
but Charlie felt that was another one that got away. That
Yeah.
was, I think, the last one that got away.
Okay.
He eventually won in Seattle that summer, and then bowled 84 at the Firestone. Then came back next week and did a fundraiser at the St. Cloud State Student Union Atwood Memorial Center. Back when you guys rocked, back when we had a team, back when back before I captained a team that we made it relevant again. St. Cloud State bowling, we were awesome for 1 year, and then the guys took over and made it even better. So anyway, the week after that we came back from sectionals in 84 was this fundraiser. So that's when I talked to Charlie Tapp. Cinco de Mayo, 1984. Chucker, it's your fault, brother.
Reporter.
But we still reminisce nicely about the 81 North Stars,
Oh yeah.
about them and their big run, and warm memories from that spring.
Sure.
1,000
Jay
years ago.
Marshall
Marshall
Holman
Holman.
is possible he has been on the show
He,
before.
okay.
So
Well,
if you go back down the page, you'll find him. I can also stick him in a comment.
maybe. Well,
After the show here.
he's gotten enough barbs lately. Ask Stoney.
Yeah, and he's been on too.
Okay, good.
But
Good. I'm
maybe,
glad you got Randy on there because
yeah,
we don't hear, I know he had a Facebook page for a while, but either I got erased from it or he really did delete it. I don't know.
yeah,
But what's funny now about bowling senior stuff is you hear it for years. Oh, the guys are all relaxed. They're just laughing and joking. And yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Even I was, joking with Eugene, as soon as it was funny, he left, he stoned a 9. I was crossing next to him and he walked up the approach and said something you can't say on television. I said, oh, jeez. You blanking old guys
Yeah.
running your mouth, even stone 9s. God, what is this, the 90s again? And he laughed and,
Well, let me kind of wrap things up here. My next
did we cover everything? I sure hope so.
I think so.
I've
I
been
hope so.
sitting here for almost 2 hours,
Yeah.
Shoot.
As I said in the top of the show, this Saturday you've got the MJBT WYBT border battle that'll be live streamed here on the channel. Just about a little after 9:00, they'll get going. Minnesota Junior Bowlers Tour and Wisconsin Youth Bowlers Tour going at it. All-star teams from both. You'll have boys and girls teams. Doing battle there on the lanes at Wagner's. Looking forward to that, of course. And then on let's see what is my date here. Oh yeah, keep them wanting more, right? We are bringing in on Wednesday, May 31st. Are you ready? Is there suspense building? We're bringing in a guy named Randy Brown. Have you ever heard of Coach Randy Brown?
I've heard of the coach. I don't know his work.
Okay. So he is in the Kansas City area right now, but he did live in.
So he's okay. He's probably heard of me and the Waz. So
Yeah.
Go
He
ahead.
he didn't though. He was in Atlanta before that, and he runs a YouTube channel called the Prodigy Bowlers Tour. If you haven't checked it out yet, check it out. It is worth your time. He is basically producing videos that have the look and feel of a tour telecast, really, but they're junior tournaments. And
Fun.
he's got a great story as far as how this came to be. He's been featured on Phantom Radio a couple times. He has a background in broadcasting as well. And he'll tell us all about it on Wednesday, May 31st, 7 p.m. Central. Coach Randy Brown here on Bowling with the Fef. So two big live streams coming up. You look like you're looking. Oh,
May
31st,
7 p.m. Got it. Okay.
7
2
p.m.
weeks. Got it. Okay. We can do that.
Yeah,
All right.
awesome. Well,
If I'm not sleeping.
no, you won't.
No,
Well, I was gonna say maybe
Wednesday's a long day for me.
Yeah.
Especially it's
keep-
now it's 3:45 tomorrow and Friday, and
yeah, and your
but
hours.
then on paper I get to leave at 1:30.
But the good thing is, if you can't join us live, it's always there on replay, and there you go. But
As will our little 2-hour thing here.
as will ours. Mark, it is always a pleasure. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Richly deserved to be.
That's kind words, very kind. It's starting to sink in now. It's been almost 2 months since I've known, but I still look at the list of the people who won it ahead of me and going, no, I'm not there. I'm just a little bit more, if I can do another, bowltv.com thing like in August in Waterloo. I only live an hour away.
Right.
Jason, I'm here. And sorry, I don't have all my hair that I did before, but
and he has history doing that in that building at the Peacock Classic.
That's right.
It was good. It was really, really good.
Got it. How much more time do we have?
The play-by-play left to be desired, but the commentary.
Another story just popped in my head. I remember when I first started doing the live streams with USBC with Matt and Aaron's, what became Matt and Aaron's Excellent Adventure. Nobody else picked up on that. I don't understand. You have to tie the two together sometimes. Outside and bowling, you have to put an outside label on it. Emil Williams came up to me. We were at our practice session. Remember, the practice pair was somewhere in the concourse, was somewhere in the building, but it was in a main hallway of this convention center. It was just the oddest place, but it was inside, but it worked. Anyway, so Emil asked me, I want to be more in bowling and broadcasting, because he had just started with USBC. He said, what do you think about me doing this? I said, get as much play-by-play in as possible. Doesn't matter the sport. You become knowledgeable about it, then you can talk about it, and then you have people watching. And if it's with younger kids, it's the parents want to see them play. And if your commentary is really good, then they'll ask you back over and over again, and just do as much work as much as you can.
Yeah.
And now he's a star. Now he has his own live stream.
Yeah.
His own live stream channel.
Really good.
He's smooth. He is smooth. Oh, it's he's got good. That's I would just say he threw a strike. Emil, what else you got? Just stay out of his way.
Get out of the way. Yeah. Awesome.
Kind of like you did with me, but
hey, you were on a roll.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I didn't get. Some of the coaches didn't throw me out for being, factual. We got a couple facts in during that show.
Oh yeah,
both days. I did. Really, I did.
Check it out. It lives on the channel.
It's over already. Gosh. Did we cover everything? I'm sure well, see, I'm so good at taking this off the rails. I'm sure we left at least, I don't know, twice, 5 times we were off the rails.
As long as we covered this, I mean, that was the most important part, right?
There's another picture that I did not post. I'm surprised you didn't find it. It was of me working at KWLM Radio in Wilmer.
Oh.
And on my 20th birthday, I was working middays during the summer. I would do like 10:30 until I would start the Paul Harvey tape at 1:15, and then I was done. So I've got a song queued up. Yeah, 3.5 minute song. I was going to start it at 1:11 and 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Start the song, talk a little bit, and say Paul Harvey's on after Carly Simon. Nobody does it better. Here on KWLM, and then all of a sudden, I back up out of the chair in front of our control board. There's a hand that comes out of nowhere, turns my microphone all the way up.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm going, what the heck? And then this gal in town, known as the singing scribe, she offered singing telegrams. She starts to sing "Happy Birthday," and I'm just trying to go. Part of my mind goes, Sheldon Cooper is going, you're effing up my show. Yeah. I had this back time perfectly, and you're going to screw it up. So I better smile and look pretty.
Uh-huh. Or at least sound
yeah, there's a picture somewhere. If you go through my Facebook page, it's somewhere in there. But yeah. So, how many television finals have I appeared on? I've attended. Oh, if you want to see something really funny, go back to the first 3 minutes of the 2000 TFC show at Deer Park. Okay. Watch carefully. You see Phil Ferguson on the left, Marshall on the right, and there's some idiot in the middle doing this.
That's you.
I'm surprised Phil Ferguson didn't chime in. I'm sure he will now. And going, oh, that's who that was. That's who that dork was.
All right. Well, let's leave it at that. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Guess what, folks? That's the show, and we are out of here.